I'm sitting there like, man, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Ask Mathis. I'm your host, Reggie Mathis, and rocking with me is my brother, Wildman Teddy T, a.k.a. Baron Theo Mound-builder.
Whoa. I see you got your Pretty Ricky shirt on today, boy. The puppy.
What you talking?
They used to make shirts with like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, man. I guess it's heavy, man, because it's that crest.
What is that?
It's the crest, man. This is the crest. Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
I wanted to bring that out. You're crested. Who's crested?
The crest, big. You know what I mean? Big law enforcement badge. I got it at one of the conventions. Looked very unique when I first saw it. The all white on white, just with the little.
It's dope. That's dope. I was like, oh yeah, because they used to put like different animals. They have a regular shirt and they put animals or whatever.
Okay, thank you, sir. But man, let's get right into it, my man. So it's the Ask Mathis.
They selling book tickets. It seemed like this week,
man, bro. So we just got a lot going on. So South Africa, y'all know it's a genocide going on, right?
Yeah.
Right. 59 people said we gotta go. 59 people gotta go, and they was bought, flown private, given all kind of MAGA hats and whatnot to come out basically saying, hey, you know what? The people over there tripping. Yeah, I know it's their land. I know, when our people came down there and we took it all, and we held Mandela for 27 years, and when he finally was released, and we said we're gonna have elections, of course, they won,
majority,
and we just want what's ours. We just want to, what's wrong with that? We want to keep it. We want to keep what's ours.
I think it's the equal part that's going to kill them. They got to be equal with us. I think that will always, if that ever came out, there was certain white people that would really, I can't phantom being equal to them.
Well, so the thing is, brother, when you have such a small population that has taken so much, you cannot win in a democratic election. The numbers just don't the numbers just don't support it. So even on top of that, and I would say the difference, because this is the argument that many of our brothers and sisters from Cuba make about the Castro regime, where they basically saying we got lawsuits to get our land back that was taken, because Castro, in the revolution, basically, many of the darker people stayed, and when they stayed, a lot of the villas and mansions and a lot of the stuff was taken over by the state, by the government, and they changed mansions into hospitals and into schools and to other stuff like that. People were mad, and they mad to this day. And you'll hear, some of the folks is like, man, we got pending litigation. That's one of the things that Trump promised them, is that he would allow for those that litigation, to go. And if they're ever going to be diplomatic relations with Cuba, that they're going to have to acknowledge those land rights. So, thing about South Africa, I guess South Africa looked at Cuba and said, we're going to do it a little different. And that is, we're going to take our land back, but we're going to give just compensation. Our government does that. You know what it's called? Eminent domain. Eminent domain. How do you think highways get built? How do you think stadiums get built. They all used to be neighborhoods. They run those highways through neighborhoods. They build those stadiums in neighborhoods. Everybody don't want to leave. Everybody don't want to give up their property. But eminent domain says the state has a bigger use than your enjoyment. And you take this money, reasonable compensation. You take this money and keep it moving. So we have a hard time arguing with the government of South Africa. And then you bring the president of South Africa over here, who basically, bruh, like, your man don't deserve guys like this, man. This is a living example of when we say the way my parents taught me, the way their parents taught them, and the way I teach my children is that you got to be twice as good. You got to be twice as good, right? Can we play the tape how this brother is sitting up in here getting ambushed? The man that flew all the way from South Africa over to be in the White House, which, and in the Oval Office. So your homie is basically like, hey, I don't let everybody come to the Oval Office. I don't even let everybody come to the Oval Office, right? Are we sure they even in the Oval Office? Because he don't even let everybody come to the Oval Office. I'm not even sure he in the Oval Office, bro. Can we hear what he got to say, man? Just some effery.
Trump claimed were evidence of white genocide in South Africa?
These are all white farmers that are being buried.
They were actually pictures from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Let me explain. During an Oval Office meeting on May 21st, Trump caught South African President Cyril Ramaphosa off guard when he alleged that white farmers were being persecuted because of their race. Trump then presented alleged video evidence followed by a series of articles and images that he falsely claimed showed white farmers that are being buried in South Africa.
And look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried.
Following the meeting, Reuters revealed that one of the images Trump displayed was a screenshot from one of their videos that showed footage of humanitarian workers burying bodies in the city of Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The footage was captured in February following deadly battles with Rwanda-backed M23 rebels, Reuters reports. The managing editor at the American Thinker, the conservative online magazine that published the blog post Trump showed to Ramaphosa, told Reuters that Trump had misidentified the image. Reuters video journalist Jafar Al-Katanti, who captured the images in question, was shocked to see Trump using their footage as false evidence of white genocide. In view of all the world, President Trump used my image, used what I filmed in the Democratic Republic of Congo to try to convince President Ramaphosa that in his country, white people are being killed by black people, the journalist said. During the meeting, Trump also showed video of white crosses along a South African highway that he incorrectly claimed were burial sites. When the crosses were placed in 2020, an organizer told South Africa's public broadcaster that the wooden crosses did not mark actual graves, but rather represented farmers who had been killed over the years. When the lights came back on in the Oval Office, Ramaphosa asked Trump if he knew where the footage was filmed, to which Trump responded, no.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen.
I mean, it's in South Africa.
I need to find out.
During a White House press briefing on May 22nd, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt blindly defended Trump's claim that his video showed burial sites when asked about the footage by news reporter Yamiche Alcindor.
Are you disputing that there's no... The video showed what the president claimed it showed because it did not show that. But even more, what I'm asking you is who at the White House...
show that. It showed white crosses representing people who have perished because of racial persecution.
Leavitt refused to answer Alcindor's question about who verifies the images that the president presents as evidence in the Oval Office. Another organizer of the 2020 event has since confirmed to BBC that it's not a burial site, but it was a memorial.
Yeah, man. So you got to be twice as good. We know that. And so this brother, he comes in there. He totally gets ambushed. Somebody telling him about what's going on in his country. Now, can we see that reverse? Can somebody come in here and tell us like what we doing to his face?
Because it'll be real true.
I'm just saying, like, just the audacity, man, how you treat and the way they treated Zelensky, you know. I'm not the biggest Zelensky fan. Like, just straight up, I'm not the biggest Zelensky fan, right? But still, the man, you talking about what he wearing?
Right.
It's like Allen Iverson, man. You talking about practice? Not the game, practice? Like, Man, my population is getting killed right now. You know what I mean? What, you want me to go bust the Armani down? Come in here. Is that what you want me to do? While my folks is getting killed, and y'all are saying that y'all not even sure y'all even with us? Like, come on, man. But we voted for him, right? Right?
Right.
we voted for him, so you know what? We in that FAFO time.
You gotta take the good with the bad.
I mean,
You gotta take the
let
good with the
let it
bad.
be what. Hey, gas prices lowest it's been in 4 years.
Good with the bad, baby. That's what it boils down to.
Oh,
There's
man.
a lot of BS coming with it. You know
Bruh,
what I'm saying?
it is, man, and it's just, you know, just one of those things. I watched some movie over the weekend, right? I don't even remember the name of it, but it was the Gretchen, the former Fox newscaster, her lawsuit against Fox. Yeah, I got wrapped up in it, man. You know, just you know, Megan Kelly and all the chicks, and how your boy Roger Ailes had the back elevator coming up, and you know how the folks coming in, and how basically they used each other. Like, it was like, yo, he don't even know how. Like, Trump had more of a grasp on the Fox viewers than Fox did, and they didn't even know it. It was like, man, we can't let this man know that he got more power. That's why you see how he was able to branch into the OAN and almost instantly turn like OAN into a competing network. You know, just, you know, and then Newsmax almost turned them into competing network because it's a code of personality. And speaking of personalities, man, we got the man himself.
I don't know about that, but
We
you got
got-
a brother here for
we-
sure.
we got the man himself, Mr. Speak Truth to Power, man. That's mad respect. You know, Circle of Brotherhood, man, doing y'all thing, man, and I see y'all get it from all sides, bro.
Well, you know, we grew up ready for that, though, brother.
Okay,
We grew up ready for that.
okay. I mean, y'all get it from all sides, man. You know, so how do y'all maneuver and persevere and thrive, man? Because y'all are thriving. Because at the same time, you know, you could talk about, and I'm a part of a lot of different civic organizations, fraternal, a lot of organizations. But you talk about impact in our community right now, making a difference right now. I don't see anybody making a difference more than Circle of Brotherhood, bro. Just 1,000.
You know, I was reminded by somebody that we all in a good fight in a good race, and when it's your turn to run your leg, run it like it's the last leg. And I think one of the advantages that we may have is all those different things that you just named.
Y'all had
It's
y'all
all
witnessed it.
in
Y'all
the
got the
circle.
opportunity to witness it and to see it and to take what was good about that. Let's modify it. Let's do it. But y'all come with that reality. Unlike, you know, a lot of folks, man, who pontificate, a lot of folks who come from a book, talk about from the book, and y'all out there on these streets.
Grinding, brother. Boots to the ground. Real boots to the ground.
Yeah, man. So tell us where we are right now. I mean, you know, a few years ago we were saying, you know, city of Miami, you know, $1 million. You know, everybody was applauding that. Then they snatched it. Then I heard y'all got it back. So what? Let's start with that first.
Right. First of all, man, I want to appreciate you all for being an educated voice for our brothers and sisters to glean from, rather than, you know, as you were just giving some examples earlier about being magnified by a particular state. And y'all bringing real info. And so just in terms of the Circle of Brotherhood, and for those who don't know, name is Brother Lyle Muhammad. I had the honor of serving as the executive director of the Circle of Brotherhood. And if you're not familiar, just go ahead and Google Circle of Brotherhood Miami. The nutshell to really put it and explain who we are. We're black men who believe in solving our own community problems. We're from the streets to the suites. You got brothers straight up from the streets, and you got other brothers who don't know nothing else but the suites.
Yeah.
You got brothers from different walk of life,
What's the
different
name
religions.
of the brother we had on earlier who was an executive who joined? And I know you guys got Pastor Freeman from Antioch and Pompano. I saw him
right,
on
our
y'all
brothers, right,
cruise and,
right.
and whatnot.
You
So I
know.
know they definitely. Dave Wilson, man, he claimed y'all. I don't know. I don't know if he clout chasing, but he claimed y'all.
David Wilson's a member of the Circle of Brotherhood as well. You know, I mean, again, you talking about from the streets to the suites.
Mm-hmm.
You talking about black men from different walk of life, different religions, but one brother, one hood. And so where a lot of people underestimated our work, we never came together to say, let's come together to be an organization. But because of the success of our work, it was only right to be organized. And we made a promise to ourselves that we wouldn't allow things that disunite us to be more powerful than what we could do together. So when it got right down to dealing with the gun violence in our communities, look, I know you're listening, the audience knows for sure. It's not like we don't know what to do. We've never really had an opportunity to garner the resources to fully manpower the things that we need to do. So because of our success, I'm backtracking to your question. So the mayor saw our success and what we were doing. So pledged $1 million of that ARPA money, which took us 3 years actually to get. We've never really been fully funded across the table for what we need to do in our community, but we shout out the mayor for that.
Francis Suarez,
right?
Another,
and shortly
another
after
friend
that,
of the show.
yeah, you know, just to kind of show you how it rocks. Anytime somebody comes against us, the God seems to double up on us. So when they were holding back that $1 million, Congresswoman Frederica Wilson said, you know what? Here's $2 million. I see the work that y'all are doing in the community. Support these other organizations.
Did y'all ever get it?
And do that work.
Did y'all ever get it from them?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, without that, we wouldn't have been able to survive.
Wow.
And so what came after that was we began to become recognized nationally. And what are these brothers doing? And so that led to our first Department of Justice grant, where we were one of only 8 organizations in the country that received a $2 million grant. And when y'all hear these numbers, mind you, this is $2 million over 3 years. It's protracted. You know, some people think it's money in your pocket and don't even understand.
And you gotta have those grant writers up in there that's making sure and that you and are administering and making sure y'all in compliance.
That part right there. So for anybody who doubts that, we managed 3 federal grants simultaneously, never having an issue when it comes to our credibility. And then, of course, a couple of weeks ago, you know, the DOJ grants across the country, 365 organizations.
Frozen.
Not just frozen, terminated.
Wow.
Snatched up 5:35 p.m. on a Tuesday evening via email.
Wow. Your boy. your boy. I mean, when I see the work that y'all are doing, man, it takes me back to my childhood and seeing like the guardian angels in New York, seeing these, you know, brothers, predominantly black and brown brothers, man, who was like without weapons, you know, we out here, you know, on the streets because like you said, we know, everybody knows. And as a former prosecutor, you know, shout out to Professor Robert Waters, man, rest in peace. First black tenured law professor at UM. Mm-hmm. When I was in law school, man, he was like, you should consider being a prosecutor. I said, man, what's you talking about, man? What I look like putting my people in jail and prison? Like, he was like, well, you know, who are the victims? I was like, what you mean? He was like, you know, most crime victims know the perpetrator. And, you know, you can step on a brother's shoe and get blasted, but you can come out there and kill, you know, our leader and nothing happened to him. You know, George Zimmerman still walking the earth, you know, Rittenhauser, you know what I'm saying, kill a couple people, raise over $1 million legal defense, a young lady coming out there, you know, assaulting a 5-year-old in the park, you know, raised, you know, $1 million, man, assaulting a 5-year-old, bro. So we understand and we know what the issues and what the problems are, and I think we can get some common ground, bro Muhammad, with our own Step, because Step, you know, believes that we can solve our own problems, right? Step, that's his thing, and he's like, you got to lose it all so that we can depend on each other to build it back and build it back better.
You know, that's a reality. You know, one of the things that's allowed us to maneuver and fight for survival at the same time is we have never been about the politics, the
That's
bipartisan
true.
this, the party
Y'all
this,
done
the
took on
party
some
that.
of my friends. Y'all done took on y'all done took on some of my friends, bro, and stood up proudly in the paint to the point where it's like, bro, there's no hatred, but this the work and this what we about, man. You can't do anything but respect that.
Right, and that's where we stand, and it's always principle. Like with these last DOJ cuts, I think some of the most vicious things about it, particularly even if, you know, a lot of people don't know that when Trump was president during the first term, there was a brother that worked on his domestic affairs who actually visited
Yeah,
our organization.
you know, the opportunity zones trying
Right,
to come in
exactly,
there.
exactly,
Yeah,
and had nothing but raving things. So nobody else in this administration doesn't even know a thing about what we do. But see, here's the crime. I want you all to picture this. It's days before summer. Days before summer, and you cut off funding in 31 different cities for organizations that work directly in our hoods. That's a death wish.
think about it. You know, one of the things that we study is when you look at the history of the riots, whether you talk about Watts, you talk about Newark, talk about LA, happens during the summer. Riots happen during the summer. So to your point, you know, if you know, the only thing I would counter that with, the only thing I would counter that with, and I was in front of a lot of judges, the only two black active federal judges the other day, and we was joking. You know, we was joking with them, which is ain't no money on the street. That's the only. That's the only thing. Is no. There's no money in the street like
You're right, but you know
how
what's
it
so
was.
deep about that is it lets you know that our beefs, they ain't even over money. Our people, look, if you just, okay, you want to just do a blanket across the whole table, look at the rise in this country of domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
Triple that and quadruple that in our name. We're not even killing each other over money.
Right. Jay-Z says, you know, around here having beefs and wars over streets that we don't own, that we renting. You know, we was before you came in, bro, Muhammad, we was talking about, you know, eminent domain and how I-95 destroyed Overtown in particular, but not just here, like regime politics, something that I studied in college. And it's happened with stadiums, it's happened, you know, throughout. An eminent domain, you know, destroyed Atlanta for, you know, the building of the Olympics. And they gave the Atlanta Olympic Committee and Billy Payne, you know, carte blanche to basically go and carve out Atlanta. And the affected areas, it wasn't, you know, where the white folks were, it was where our people were, in large part because it was, you know, and it was Section 8 and it was rental and it was stuff. Say, well, it's not y'all's, it's ours. All right, Tech Woods and Lemon City and those places that they came in and just Mechanicsville, those places for stadiums and all these other things that come in, you know, and do it. So to Step's point, the economics has to be, you know, like that's what I'm waiting for. The Phoenix. Like we got to rise from all of this stuff and come through. And this could be a blessing in disguise because folks done forgot how to, you know, our generation in particular, 70s babies, you know, we went straight integration. You know, my older siblings understood segregation.
Worst thing that happened.
You know, and with integration coming in, whereas integration really should have been about if it's a school across the street from my house and I got kids who should be able to go to that school. They should be able to go to that school. They shouldn't have to go, miles away or not go to school at all because they can't go there. Instead, what did the government do? The government comes in and says, okay, we're going to fix this by busing people to places that the people don't want you here and you don't want to be here. And then, like you, Teddy, in Illinois, they go and take the best and the brightest kids, like we see with Everyone Hates Chris in New York. You go and take the best and the brightest kids, and then you take them out of your neighborhood and put them out there. So not only are they out there outnumbered and getting bullied and whatnot, but at the same time, you're being fed this narrative of how different you are from the rest of them. So you lose the connection with the folks in the back, and then you go and you roll the Weston. Now I'm back to Florida. You roll to Weston, you roll to Cooper City, you roll to Davie, you roll to Southwest Ranches, you roll all these places, and then what's left? That vacuum was filled by, hustlers, gamblers, pimps, drug dealers, killers, and murderers. That they filled the vacuum. So when folks supposed to be here to help us, like Ronald Reagan said, people don't, whatever, what Reagan said, I'm the government, I'm here to help. Like, no, government don't really do that. They don't do that. There's always a loser, and we are always the ones that we are the ones, we are the ones that are selected, pre-selected to be the losers.
This lady said that even in the poorest white person has the ability to come up with $3,000 in a need faster than a poor black person.
One of the interesting things about where we are like right now, and I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, we're not at 150 days, but we're past 100. You remember that old school song, "What you see
is what you get."
Is what you get. So we've seen enough of the weather pattern to know whether we're going to survive this or not. And we've never doubted it.
Oh yeah.
So, one thing about us, even with these cuts to our programs, nationally what's happening, and we're involved in the national movements as well too. A lot of people like, hey, give us back our funding. And I do believe it is our money. I'm not going to go with it.
Taxpayer money.
We don't have time to be knocking on a door that's closed. So for us right now, it's about two things. Who really believes in this work? I'm going to give you an example. I was on a national call with some of these 300 organizations that had their funding cut, and also supporting organizations. One of them was a newly found organization by the NBA, National Basketball Association. But their whole framework is that they're going to promote awareness. Now, okay, we need awareness, but if I check the count just for a minute, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of them brothers could finance this whole movement.
You
to stop the
know.
bleeding in our hood.
You already know.
So we're
the one that's really on that is Brown from Boston. Brown seems to be the only.
Well, I got to give a shout out to 2 brothers on that. One who just recently moved here to Miami, and although he's retired, his influence is still significant. That's Joakim Noah and Tony Allen. Both Joakim Noah and Tony Allen, they not only work with us personally, but they're working across the country to change that narrative that we just stated.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I want to ask you, what's the situation right now with you guys in Liberty City and Keon Hardeman and all the different things that's going on?
Number one, I appreciate the question. I really do appreciate the question. And the first thing that I want to say is that our whole philosophy, we are never, ever the aggressor in words, deeds, or action. Now, if we're aggressed upon, we fight with those who fight with us. And so a lot of the realities about that is we're not politicians. If anything, we're freedom fighters. And we're always going to side with the people. Watch this, even if it's against ourselves. So anybody who does a track record on the work that we do will clearly come to show that there have been certain people that have interfered with our work. The track record shows that. And so some of us are still from the streets, you know. But our philosophy is if you don't like what we're doing, then leave us alone. But when you go to interfere with the money and the programmatic thrust that's saving Black lives, you become an enemy to our people. And so there have been situations where we have been interfered with monetarily, programmatically. And so we don't have a problem speaking out on those things. So let me tell you exactly where that is right now. When my staff went down to the commission meeting in January, the way they were treated, and the way I was treated, and the way members of our organization were treated, we sent an inquiry, a 7-question inquiry. We sent it to every commissioner. We sent it to the mayor's office and to the attorney's office because there were some allegations that were made against us that, speaking of legal, I don't know. But before even going there, we wanted them to respond. We haven't heard a peep. Commissioner Hardiman was supposed to be reaching out to have a meeting with me. Nobody's reached out to have a meeting with me. I don't have a personal issue with Commissioner Keon Hardiman. I'll lay on the ground right now, even the political differences. You know, I may not be the most astute, but it's clear to see that he has an ilk and a mindset that's in our political spectrum. You know, if you go back to W.E.B. Du Bois and you go to the Talented Tenth and you go to the whole economic thrust, and I respect that. There may be some things politically that we disagree on, but this brother and our organization, we would never interfere with a Black man or a Black woman doing work in our community if we agree with them or disagree with them. So if that meeting takes place, it takes place, but not going to throw up no smoke and mirrors. We've always publicly asked, if there's some real issues and some real things against us, let's have a public sit down about it. Let's come on a show like this and let's dialogue and talk about it.
Yeah, brother. Hardiman has been on, been on the show, done his thing, and I would definitely see if we can, we can do that.
Now, I do want to say one more thing, because what happens a lot of times with us is, because we're primarily a Black organization, people say, well, it's a shame. Look at Black people fighting each other. We're not fighting on anything else but principles of morality, ethics, and justice. Whether you Black, white, or purple, you're going to get it if you're against our people.
Right. So, since you brought it up, Teddy, the relationship with former Commissioner Edmondson, and when she got back in the race to go against Commissioner Hardiman, was that a play orchestrated by the circle to get her back in the race, or is that something that y'all felt like?
Yeah, I want to be crystal clear about that. First of all, we as an organization, one of the things that's led to our success is that ethics and excellence are what we stand on. So we as an organization, we never endorse or back a candidate. There have been elections where, we're an organization of men from many different walks of life, and that we all on our own, got a little statue to stand on out there in the community. Sometimes we've been against people in the same election, but it's not about the organization. When you mention Audrey Edmondson, I think it's important for people to know, first of all, that it was Commissioner Audrey Edmondson that gave the Circle of Brotherhood its first grant even to be able to do any work in terms of gun violence. And that was and it was only a $30,000 grant, but it was start the program to save our sons. And it was also Audrey Edmondson in 2018, after a quadruple shooting in the Beans, that called a meeting for our presence that all the commissioners and leaders came to, where they really got wind that these brothers really know what they're doing when it comes to community wellness and violence prevention. And so backing her was a natural thing to do for us in that sense. And by the way, let's see if brother will have a dialogue. I'm the kind of brother that I don't want to open up past wounds.
We just like to educate, because on the show, just like we deal with some of the city of Pompano issues. You know, we bring in Sarah Peterson, and she addresses a lot of the issues going on in Pompano with the sitting commissioner there, Beverly Perkins. You know, and so it's just one of those things that a lot of folks who watch the show are interested in, and it's like, oh, I see Keon. Keon's a nice guy, which he is. He, you know, his heart is in the right place as far as, you know, love for our people and, you know, his vision, but it could differ. Like, we're not monolithic. Like, we're not the same, and it's okay.
Right. It's okay to be different, but here's where we draw the line in the sand. It's not okay to interfere. That's when we become public enemy number one. And
and y'all haven't gotten there yet, right? Or you saying y'all are there and you want a dialogue to dial it back?
I'll give one crystal clear example. So when the mayor pledged to give us $1 million of that ARPA funding to build out our violence intervention and wellness program, it was in a stack, if you will, with 18 other programs. Our item was removed from the stack by the commissioner of the 5th district. Now, here's where I give our sister, me personally, I don't hold Commissioner Christine King responsible for any of that. I hold those who she's beholden to for that. So I want you just to know the reality. That ARPA money that came into the city of Miami, the Circle of Brotherhood was the only item that was removed. And that stack went on and was unanimously passed. And we went back and forth, not because of anything else, but because of what took place from District 5. That's orchestrated. And that money was supposed to be given after COVID. Everybody knows violence went up right after COVID. So what I'm saying is, when you interfere like that, you causing blood to be on people's hands. You causing lives to be lost. That's a whole nother different kind of ball game. And I'll say this other thing. Commissioner Hardeman, I think, has a great, great mind. And he has some great things to offer. One thing Brother Lyle's not going to do, I'm not going to tell you I'm the chief proponent of firefighters of all firefighters. I'm going to get that to the firefighters. So to act like the deal that was cut with the stadium is bringing in such amount of money to our community to combat gun violence, it actually interferes with the monies that are really potentially capable of coming and getting to boots on the ground.
Expound on that.
So for example, the Peace and Prosperity Plan, which is a beautiful plan, but it has nothing to do with gun violence prevention. It has some great after school and leadership summer programs and employment programs for our youth, but them brothers and sisters toting them guns and pulling them guns, them ain't the ones.
They're not going to be.
They're not the ones for that.
Right.
So when you look at that and you look at this deal over 10 years that's supposed to be bringing in $90 million, it's more smoke and mirrors, when in fact, our organization has brought in nationally $6 million. And I'm not just talking about coming to the Circle of Brotherhood. Now, I'm going to give you a real picture. In terms of public safety, we need $162 million to do our job right. The biggest crime right now is that whether we've done it with our bootstraps or with the pennies or the national reputation that we've been able to gain because of our work, we're this close for the first time in the history of Dade County for having real boots on the ground programs all the way from Pompano, coming down to Miami Gardens, to Opalaka, going all the way down south. And if you interfere with that,
it's hot down
if you
there.
interfere with that,
City,
if you interfere with that, you're causing black people to die because you're on the sideline. You know, so coach, don't just put us in the game. Let us run the plays until we.
What are some of the engagements that you do that are stopping, that you guys feel like are stopping or curbing crime? Like what is the actual steps that you guys are doing?
You know, when you first talk about what it takes to stop crime, you have to have first people who've been there and done that. And so we've been responsible for building a national industry of individuals with life experience who are now called credible messengers. violence interrupters, people with street cred who are respected. Their past may be very, very tainted, but how valuable are they to the ones who are slinging the day? You know, so, and we're able to train those kind of men and women with the type of training in conflict resolution, mediation and dispute resolution. We're able to train them. So our work, it transforms. It transforms. And you can't go to school and get a degree for that. You have to have lived life experience.
So is it happening at the headquarters? Shout out to Dorothy Bendros Mendengal, you know, and thank you guys. You guys have allowed us to have a few meetings at your facility.
At our facility. That's why we let you have it, because it's ours. It's the community's.
At the facility, which
and anybody trying to interfere or take that is definitely, if there's somebody is an enemy of the people.
Yeah, I mean, greatly appreciated for that. But is that the facility where some of the lessons and workshops, you know, take place? And what about the schools? What about the prisons?
Excellent, excellent. All of the above. I'll say this first about the space. For those people who really know our neighborhoods, I'm talking about on the street level, it's one of the only places you can come where everybody know there ain't no beef up in here. It's one of the only places that you can come. We've had people from whatever kind of rival neighborhood clique you want to have up in there together because they respect us and they respect that space. So a lot does go on there, but we're actually in the neighborhoods. We're actually in the schools. I mean, as much as we can be, because so much more of what we're doing is needed. You know, another example, you know, we're actually in the community for the first time. What we're doing over in Lincoln Fields, now known as Buena Vista, is unprecedented. You know, where you have, it's not armed security, it's not armed police, it's unarmed men who are willing to stand in the gap. And we got our issues, but we're making progress. My point being is, if we're not in those places, you can't do this work for real.
I agree. So we got Brother Lyle Muhammad, man, you know, CEO, Circle of Brotherhood, and we're gonna give you a little break right now as we go through some of these other stories, man. Feel free to chime in whenever, because your perspective is very interesting, and I know you probably look at things different than we may. So please feel free to jump in. So Capricorn is testifying today. She's the former assistant to Diddy, and you know, but she was trying to get a job for him as late as 2024. So when she's being cross-examined today, you know, I'm just wondering, you know, how that's going to be, because I still have not seen I haven't seen the RICO. I still haven't seen the RICO. I've seen a hell of a domestic violence case. I've seen a, you know, guy who needs help with violence and things of that nature. But where is the pecuniary, the financial benefit from doing this? If anything, it's costing him money. It's costing him money. Like, this is, you got a freaky pastime. You got a freaky hobby. But this seems to be costing him money, not, you know, a criminal enterprise. You're supposed to be making money. You're supposed to be profiting from what's going on. Like that, I'm not seeing that. It's a lot of character assassination that's going on right now. So right now, and this is the thing about the feds, man, like you have to really pay attention to the legislation as written, because you can have something written in the conjunctive or the disjunctive, right? So you can have something that says and. If it says and, that means you got to prove all of those things. But if you have something that says or, you only got to prove one of those things, and it could be like one of the little words in there, which is, it could be an underlying crime, right? Now, that's not that is not the intent of the RICO for an underlying crime. Like it was like, oh yeah, he went in there and stole some bubble gum, out of this convenience, out of this bodega. That's not the underlying crime, but that's a crime. So you get caught up in the or. Well, did we not demonstrate that this was, a battery? It was a battery. It was unlawful touching. It was a battery, and then all this other stuff. It doesn't matter. That's the thing about with the feds. That's why they got a 97% conviction rate. And all the cases that I had in the feds, they don't come with the one thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you got me on that one. But what about this one, Bucko? And what about this one? And what about this one? Like, they're gonna come for months or years, and they're gonna have so much in there, and you just whatever. But I haven't seen it, bro. Witness number 3, victim number 3 is not coming forward. So is Kid Cudi the guy? Is he victim number 2? He done already came in and basically said, and they could not prove, which they already have an appellate issue in terms of, in Florida we call it Williams rule, prior crimes, bad acts. So if you want to, paint the defendant, paint the accused, you bring up something in the past. But usually it has to be backed by something. It has to, you got to have something to back it up. There's no proof that Diddy bombed Kid Cudi's crib or broke into his crib. Right? So the fact that the jury is hearing that is one of those things where you're prejudicing the jury against him. He's not a sympathetic figure. Is not a sympathetic figure. So his lawyer's job is you got to get up there and call your guy a bad guy. You got to do that. Like they forced him to do that. And the one of the federal trials I talk about a lot of times, when I walked my guy out of Miami, is I had to get up there and say, we know something about Black. Right? I never said his name because on all the tapes he was referred to as Black. So that's what it's gonna be, Black. I said, I'm gonna tell you one thing we know about Black. Black likes money, and Black likes money from the sale of cocaine. But that's all we know. That's all we know. Now y'all trying to put these guns on him. And that's different. That's a different scenario. Oh, 3 things. He liked money. He liked money from cocaine. But the third thing is, and this is what made the jury laugh because of the taste. He likes money, especially from good cocaine, because that's what the tape's saying. And when it's good, he's like, and when it's good, you know what I mean? Because the informant just kept coming back. And then shout out to my wife. Bro, because they don't play fair. The weekend before we about to start the trial on Monday, they called me and said, oh, Mr. Mathis, I'm so sorry, but we're prepping for a trial and the agents came by and I got 12 hours of, of tape. I'm like, how was it? Shout out. She's a judge now, good friend, Judge Wolfson. She was handling the case back then. I said, how is it, Judge? She's like, oh, man, Reg, man, it's not good. It's like, huh? It's like my weekend is about to be messed up. So I come home, wife's like, man, what's going on? I said, man, they just bought me these tapes, and I said, I need to split up the work because that's 12 hours. I got to listen to this stuff, plus all the other stuff that I'm doing. So the wife said, cool, she makes movies. So I get a call from the prosecutor, not Judge Wolfson, but from the other prosecutor who was trying the case, and said they only want to, it's like, hey, let's not bore them with all this. We only want to play, we just want to play this amount, this little bit amount of the tape or whatever. My wife said, Reggie, listen to this. She turned it up you know, on her movie making software. She turned it up, bro. And on that, you hear the informant. You hear, first of all, you hear Black say, they're in the car. Man, what's that? There's no video, it's just audio. Say, man, what's that? And then the guy says, you know, would you trade it for work? Would you trade it for work? It's like, would you trade it for work? So then the agent in the trial, he don't know what work is. I said, so you understand that folks in the drug business try to stay one step ahead of the police, right? He's like, oh yeah, definitely. I say, and you guys are, you know, trying to find out. You trying to catch them behind. They always change the nomenclature, right? He's like, yeah. It's like, you know, so what are some of the words for, you know, cocaine? I was like, oh man, they call it yams. They call it you know, all the different things. What I said, what about work? You ever heard of the expression work? He's like, work? You mean 9 to 5? I said, no. I said, work. I said, work. Did you ever hear the expression work? He's like, 9 to 5? It's 9 to 5? I said, okay. So in federal court, man, you like a DJ. You got the big thing. So I just rewinded. So I got the jury right here, the 12 jurors right here. Well, I looked at them and they just gave me the look like, you don't got to play it no more. We heard it. Like, we heard it. I just kept playing it. I just kept like, would you trade it for work? I said, did you hear him say that? I was like, I didn't. I just work, rewind, selector. Just work. So that point being that they always try to stay, you know, a step ahead, the criminals. So in this particular case, the feds have a lady who got $30 million, who got a burner phone. That's what the lady just testified today. So Cassie was not just totally under the spell of Diddy, because she got the burner phone to carry out this relationship with Kid Cudi. That's what the burner phone was for. So now the ex-assistant is saying, oh no, the burner phone was, you know, he's gonna kill me too. Whatever. She's been with him for 16 years. Right? Tell me, oh, he's gonna kill me too. And I call Cassie's mom and it's like, call the police because I can't. I don't think it's gonna fly. I'm just saying, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. But I also won't be surprised if we get convicted. I won't be surprised if we get convicted. But as I you know, read the testimony, I'm just saying, like, this is crazy. Like, this man is being. We've heard about the casting couch. We've heard about, bruh, Jerry Lee Lewis. Yeah, what was she, 12, 13? Elvis Presley, Priscilla, how old was she? He started grooming. All the stuff they talking about right now. How old is Trump from? He 24 years older than she is. All the stuff that's, you know what I mean? All the stuff that's going on, but this brother, show me where in all his violence, which I'm not excusing, but in all his violence, show me where he benefited, where he made money off the violence. And if you can't show that, he's overcharged, in my opinion. He should not be in federal court. He should be over at the Lawson building in domestic. But because of these, you know, statute of limitations, they end up having to go, you know, and do this stuff. Same with Bill Cosby. Now, Bill Cosby, another one. They say he about to buy NBC, and then boom, look what ended up happening. The man had a non-prosecution agreement from the district attorney, compelling him to give a deposition in a civil lawsuit that he ends up settling. And then they turn around and present that deposition, which was under seal, when a new prosecutor came in saying, we don't have to honor that. And they end up prosecuting the man at 80 years old. Prosecuting the man at 80 years old. Now, come on, bro. That's, you know, that's crazy. And the guy that's in the White House has the ability, 34 count, convicted felon. He got the ability to pull the plug. Why won't he do it? Why won't he pull the plug? Step.
Oh, Bill?
No, on Puff, that's his dog. That's his guy. He just pardoned today the cop. He just pardoned the cop who was supposed to start his 10-year sentence today for bribery.
I think Trump is more of a have you publicly professed your loyalty?
I think that I was thinking the exact bruh, I was thinking the exact same thing, Step, over the weekend. I was like, your man is gonna have to get that smoke signal out there. That we going straight MAGA. We going straight MAGA. And it's
make a video.
But I haven't seen any history of Puff doing that.
Hey, vote or die. You know, he did the vote or die campaign. He's he just gonna have to come out, bro.
But that wasn't
because dude, we done already abandoned him. The people that already abandoned him. They done the brothers we done already abandoned him. Now we welcome OJ back, but we done abandoned Puff. Puff did way more for the community. He gave $300,000 away just in overtime. That man gave $300,000 in cash away in overtime a few years ago.
Everybody rocking.
Okay.
I do want to drop this in. It was interesting about the dynamics of what's going on right now in our community between black men and black women because of this case.
That's why I said the brothers ain't abandoned Puff.
And most of us don't have the advantage of having a legal mind and legal training. So we're only judging our so-called intuition based upon gossip and innuendo. But I think there's some dangerous factors about how black men are being pitted against black women because
it's
of
not
this
an accident. It's not an accident, but Muhammad.
Everything is a divide and conquer tactic, in whichever way it comes about, and the one thing with Diddy always did a lot of things, and the one thing that was really coming out before all this stuff happened, that he was talking about creating a black party. He was like an independent, but a black independent party. He said, we got all this money, and all the same thing happened when they was talking about doing the distribution. It was Suge, my man from Rap A Lot, all of these guys was coming together to do a distribution. Tupac and Biggie had this thing called the Commission for all the East Coast rap, and then you know what I'm saying? So every time there's a certain element of black men coming together in unity with these people, then these situations happen. You know what I'm saying? And when you see Jay-Z, like Jay-Z is Foxy Brown was 15, Beyonce was 15, Aaliyah was 15. So you know what I mean? That's the pit right there. These got these brothers who are in, and then somebody like Diddy who you thought was in, but now he's not.
Reminds me of an interview one time. I forgot who was interviewing the minister, but they were asking him about Mayor Barry in D.C. And as they were interviewing him, they said, what do you think about a high-ranking political figure who gets caught up with drugs and with prostitution? What do you think about that? And the minister says, who are you talking about, Kennedy?
Right.
Right. And so exactly. in other words, we get demonized and they get humanized.
Right.
Instead of us working on things to kind of humanize ourselves.
So to your point, bro, Muhammad, we are watching in real time the dismantling between Papoose and Remy Ma, just in terms of, I think Papoose is losing like all the credibility in the land, bro, because he always played the background. He always played the background, bro, and I think brothers would just go with him more because that's still the mother of your daughter, still the mother of your daughter. And when you come out and you what did Biggie say? Problems with my wife don't discuss them, right? The brother is out there going on live, man. You know, bro, you got the champ. You got Clarissa Shields, you got the champ. She backing you. She done put her stuff out there. Bro, fall back and let the people, you know, because they seen you with the battle rapper and everybody was saying you with, now the receipts is out there, bro. We don't need to know the specifics, bro. We don't need to know the specifics. Lose, bro, because I'm not feeling you right now, Pat.
Right now, what in podcasting world, they give people jobs to create narratives. They don't make a difference if it's good, bad, true, or false. The podcast is just to create a narrative, because the whole thing about Spanish and Latin and hip hop, you already know everybody was doing everything. There was Latin people in this neighborhood in the 68, 69 that was rapping. Like, this is known. And the people know that. But they say, no, let's create this as a narrative and let's go back and forth, because people want to hear it. They want to watch, because why? It's divide and conquer. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So narratives, this is like in politics, it's the same way. You got public servants that listen to the people. Then you got politics who do narratives for the other people. And right now, Trump has made narratives facts.
Travis Hunter, man. No prenup.
To the same girl?
To the same young lady, bro. They got married.
They got married?
They got married. And he just gifted her $400,000, you know, Jeep. You know. But bro, he seemed so happy.
What's Bill Withers say?
Hey, use me up. Yeah, hey.
To see your man over there in Tampa gave his old lady the same G-Wagon and then turned around and shot it up 17 times.
Ooh.
Rod Wave.
Well, Rod Wave is 400 pounds.
And that's what he got to understand. If a woman get a
Rod Wave, and I'm, you know, Rod Wave is 400 pounds, right? If you think that you gonna have a traditional dime piece fall for you, what did Nas say in Ether to Jay-Z? You think you getting women because of your look? Negro, please. You J.J. Evans with whiskers, like be real with yourself. Like, be real with yourself.
All his songs, that's what he's talking about. Women that's taken advantage. Listen to your songs. And so why, if this woman, if you buy a G-Wagon in a couple of days, like now you got attempted murder charges.
I do want to go back to the Travis piece. You know, I don't know if y'all saw the piece where he was traveling on an airplane and happened to sit next to a
they said he was so nice and
never made anything big of himself. People kept coming up to him, and all that beautiful black woman, that grandmother, could keep on saying is, "Who is that young man?" And I only want to mention that to say it's rare that a young generational talent like that, you know, whether you come at him from academics, you come at him from that
4.0 scholar. Like I said, bro, like you said, bro, Muhammad, like Bill Withers said, man, use me up. Use me up. Like, you know, I've always taken the side, you know, with Anna Nicole Smith. I always took the side of the 80-year-old. Look, when I'm 80, if I'm fortunate to make it to 80, and I got somebody that's willing to, you know, keep me, you know, whenever it get up, somebody ready to get it down, hey, you know, I'm all right over here. I tell my kids, I'm sitting there like, man, I can't do it. I can't do it.